Welcome back to another episode of Bulletproof Mindset. I am your host, Dale Crossar, and in this podcast we dive into a vast range of topics going from health, fitness and entertainment. Now every Monday and Thursday I release an episode at 6 a.m. and Thursday's episode is always centred around a guest, their story or someone that we've had on before. Today's episode is a very special guest. It was a pleasure to sit down with Neil, aka Mr. Pitstop, the owner and founder of Pitstop Nutrition. Now, I always love diving into someone's story to hear how they managed to make ends meet, what were some of the mental challenges they faced, and what it takes to build that bulletproof mindset. Now, Neil's story is truly fascinating, and what you're going to hear in today's episode is how he's navigated through his life so far, and how he stumbled upon the decision to enter into probably one of the most saturated and competitive markets in the fitness space, and how he's managed to sell supplements from his kitchen and transition to having his own shop front. And now he's standing toe-to-toe with some of the giants in the UK space. Now, Neil kindly has something for everyone listening to this podcast. He is giving 10% off to absolutely anyone if you use the code Bulletproof. Now, this can be shopping in his store or shopping online. And even better news for you guys who are listeners from down south, Pitstop Nutrition, in fact, ships UK-wide. How fantastic is that? So look, for all the regular listeners, if there's one thing you want to do, I've never really asked for much on the podcast. If you like today's episode and you're looking to buy your next supplement order, head over to Pitstop Nutrition, use code Bulletproof and show some love. Now, live in the podcast, Neil was kind enough to bring me in his Rise and Shine supplement, which is a hydration and nootropic. Now, you guys know me, I'm a big caffeine guy. So I decided not to have any caffeine. In fact, I lie, I had to have 1 cup of coffee. The first cup of coffee doesn't count. But I tried this live in the podcast and I was very surprised. I never thought I would have peach tea in my life. And this was actually really, really tasty. So if you're looking for a supplement to buy, I highly recommend this one. This comes in a strawberry flavour as well, jam-packed with a lot of nootropics to help you stay more focused. Now, I've done a ton of episodes in the past about supplements. There is this to-ing and throwing, do we need them, do we not? But what I really like about Neil is he's got a lot of integrity, not just to push a product on us just because it's going to make his business more money. In fact, I would say he erred more on the side of trying to undershoot his business, but at the end of the day, it just shows you how such a cool guy that he is. Now, to find everything about Pitstop Nutrition, you can check out the show notes below. They've got their own website, they've got their Instagram, all that information is going to be below. Remember, use code Bulletproof at checkout for 10% off. And without further ado, I hope you enjoy today's episode. So you're known, well, does anyone actually know your name or is it just the Pitstop guy? I'm actually curious to this.
A lot of people call me Mr. Pitstop.
Right.
Father Pitstop I've been called as well. But no, I'm Neil.
Aye, so who's Neil then? Let's kind of go way back. Have you always been interested in fitness and that sort of things?
Not really. Probably growing up, I was into like sport, but not necessarily like going to the gym or keeping fit or anything like that. That kind of happened probably by a wee bit like by accident. I was involved in a motorbike accident when I was younger, and I was bedbound for just short of a year. And then when I managed to get back on my feet, I had to get fit, had to strengthen my muscles and things like that. So I ended up getting into the gym, and then kind of when I went back to work, that kind of all went to the side again. So no, it wasn't really something. And then obviously when COVID happened, I used that time as well to get back, like go out walking the dog, training in the garden, that type of thing. And then since then,
so there's been a little bit of a spark there for it.
Yeah,
sounds like
it's definitely always been there, but it's not always been at the forefront.
So the motorbike accident. What's the story behind that? How old are you going through all that?
So that was 15, 16 years ago. So I think it was at early 2009. That happened. I was travelling back from work. I didn't have a driving licence at that point, and I needed to be mobile and be able to get about. So I did my CBT, which I could drive a 125. So I had a Kimco. It's called a Kimco 125, kind of like a Harley Davidson type bike. It was cool. And I was driving home one night, and somebody T-boned me at a junction. Basically, is what happened. So I ended up trapping my leg between my bike and their car, going over the bike, kind of landing on their windscreen and sort of like hitting the road.
Wow, so pretty gnarly accident.
So it was pretty bad. So I nearly lost my leg, broke my leg in multiple places, lost my kneecap at the accident, and they managed to sort of reconstruct what they could back. I had for about 2 years, I had a limp because my leg was so badly damaged. When the bone healed, my leg was short. One leg was shorter than the other. So when I've had a hip replacement. When they did my hip replacement, they fixed my limp as well.
Man, you're going through the trenches with this.
Yeah, definitely was.
How old were you going through this?
So it was 15 years ago. So 24, 25, something like that.
Early on, yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing for work at the time?
So at that point, I was working for Disclosure Scotland doing police checks part time, and I was doing an IT course, and I was trying to find a path that I wanted to do. So IT, computers, and all that type of thing was always something that I was interested in.
Where does that come from?
Probably, to be honest, I've always liked playing like computer games and things like. Obviously, IT is a bit more professional and serious. But my dad was a computing programmer.
Oh, right,
I've always kind of grown up around computers and that type of thing. He worked for a big company in the States, so I was always like surrounded in computers and that type of thing. So that's probably where that background came from. So I was in my first year doing my college course when the accident happened. And I couldn't complete my college course.
Did that put a halt in all that then, that kind of journey that you were on?
Yeah, so I ended up trying to do a little bit learning from my bed when I was basically bedbound for a year. And these courses move quite quickly and stuff, so I never managed to sort of keep up with it. So I had to kind of find something else to do.
So this was 2009,
early 2009.
The crash happened. So take us back a little bit further then. Can you remember any? I always like asking people this, like around the aspirations they had. Was it fixated on, right, I'm going to do something similar to my dad, or what was some of the things that you enjoyed doing? Were you interested in like gaming design or anything like that?
So funnily enough, I never knew what I wanted to do. But actually, when I was at school, I always thought I would be an optician.
Oh, really?
I don't know why, but that was always a thing that I fancied doing. I actually did a course doing a dental technician as well, because my brother's got his own dental practice. So I guess I was trying to follow the footsteps of like maybe my dad or my brother, and
this professional job.
And actually that's probably not what I was interested in at all. I was kind of, I guess, a wee bit lost in terms of what I wanted to do. I never knew what I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't want to do like an admin office job for the rest of my life. I wanted to have some sort of career path.
Yeah. And entrepreneurship then, so that's not in the family at all?
Not at all. So my dad did own a business when he was younger, a family business, when he was younger, but he ended up going into programming.
Different era though, growing up. And that, it seems to be I don't know if the sexy thing is the right word, but it's definitely more accepted. That's for sure. These days, there's tons of opportunity for us these days. Yeah. So but like never thought I would be a business owner. I never thought I would have that like entrepreneur spark. Never had an idea how to do it at all. Did you know what it meant?
No, not at all.
So I spoke about it in the podcast before that. I remember a guy coming to school, I think I was in 3rd or 4th year, and he came to speak to all the kids about entrepreneurship. So we all had this assembly. And I remember him starting to say, I've never heard this word entrepreneur. And when he finished his talk, I was like, I still don't understand what that is. And I just parked it to the side. But ironically, 15, 20 years later, this is what I end up doing. So it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, sometimes you just need to find the opportunity or be around the right circles. Like none of my friends at that time were running their own business or anything like that. So it wasn't like a circle that I was involved in. It was actually because when I had my accident, I ended up sort of learning. I wanted to learn a skill, and back then social media was very different than it is now. You could literally, you could boost a post for £5, and it could go to thousands of people.
So this is 2009, 2010?
2009, 2010.
So this is where Facebook ads start becoming like a very niche thing, and you could run the most basic copy, and it seemed to drive a lot of traffic for all the books and stuff that I've read.
So the first business I actually started, the idea was doing social media for small businesses that were on the high street. I paid we charged people £100 a month, and included in that was like £15 worth of ad budget, which is crazy now because
that's insane.
Crazy. But like there was like in the local town that I grew up in, I went to this sandwich shop and I said to them, is this something you'd be interested in? And we would do it, and we would put like £4 or £5 into an ad at lunchtime to promote a special sandwich of that day, and they would get loads of people turning up.
So it's like instant reward.
Whereas that you just can't do that now for that sort of budget anymore.
That's crazy. So take us back through like the thought process of choosing a skill. So I can imagine, well, in two sides of this, only because we've experienced COVID. Like, COVID seemed to be the best thing that happened to all gamers because it allowed us stay indoors, play games. But I think there's obviously a downside of that. Knowing that that's a hobby of yours, did you enjoy like being bedbound for a little while, or did it start driving you crazy?
No, to be fair, and I can't really remember why I decided to like take the positive aspect of it and try and go and learn something. I can't actually remember why that happened, but yeah, I just ended up getting stuck into social media and figuring out what I could do with this. And I had a family friend that ran a couple businesses himself, and he said to me, he came to visit me, and he said if you can learn to do this, you can do social media for my business, and we can see if it can work. And he was like an estate agent at that point, so I took over his social media and I started doing some posts and boosting things.
Kind of a bit of experience.
Yeah. And he ended up getting interest on some properties and things like that. And he was like, there's a business in this. So it was him that basically said, let's set up a business. We'll reach out to loads of small businesses and see if they're interested in this. He had loads of contacts in terms of like other business owners, and he was more in that entrepreneurial circle that like you were talking about. And we kind of just started from there, and that's how things kind of just started.
Learning about skills and stuff.
And like I had no idea how to do the business side, and actually that's the side that I enjoy the most. So like setting up a business and making connections with your suppliers and figuring out, your cash flow, not like right at the start, is what I probably enjoy the most. And he taught me how to do all that. He had a friend that was an accountant, and he came and helped us deal with the daily cash flow. And that kind of just snowballed, and we ended up getting, like, I think, 30 or 40 clients.
Brilliant.
Quite quickly, all paying £100.
Yeah, it's quite. So, what was it like getting the first payment? Was it?
Yeah, it was
such
good.
a big win.
Yeah. It was great, and getting results like so quickly. And then we ended up. I was kind of doing the graphics myself, and we ended up bringing in a graphic designer part time, I think, initially, and he would create all the assets at the start of the week. We would write all the copy for the posts, and then we would use scheduling tools to like schedule over the week. And then they would normally get a post Monday, Wednesday and Friday.
Do you mean like technology expanding and everything just growing up?
Yeah. Like that type of service is not a thing you can offer anymore, like social media. Like your ad budgets alone are in the thousands of pounds.
I know.
So it's different days now.
Well,
for sure.
We're starting to do some of that, like with the studio side. I say it's more, it's gelling and that sort of thing. So it's funny how like, what are we, 14, 15 years later, like that you were in the emphases of that growing, and then it's still a thing that I actually see it. It's like there's people in and around Glasgow selling like grow your social medias and stuff like that. It's crazy how that just stays around. So one of the OGs in the space.
One of the OGs, yeah. Yeah, and actually when I started Pitstop, I didn't even have an Instagram account.
Well, so I had this in the question. What was your social media presence like through this time as well? Was it just focused on growing others and not really necessarily growing your own?
So we had obviously the business at that point had a social media page, but it didn't. There was no like massive traction with it really, because all your focus at that point was just like promoting your customers. And actually, that's one thing. And other marketing people will see this as well, is that when you've got clients, you're constantly focused on pushing your clients, and you forget your own social media, and that's the one that always
same with PTs. Like it happens very quickly. It's like I'm training everybody else, but I don't have the energy to train myself now. It's do as I say, not as I do.
And that's how you build your business, I guess. So even when I started Pitstop, I didn't even have a personal Instagram account, like nothing.
Well, I look back at some of the first posts you've made on Instagram and that sort of stuff, and I don't think I seen your face on the Instagram page until the 1 year mark.
Right, okay.
And that's why I wanted to open up the podcast. Like, does people actually know, like, what are you known for? And it's like Mr. Pitstop makes sense now. It's just like, oh, that's the guy. That's him who owns.
I didn't like I was never like someone that posted, even on my personal, when it was Facebook that I was using, I would never really post that much on it. So yeah, it was kind of. It was a scary thing actually, because on Instagram, what I realised was very quickly you have to put your face on it. It has to have a presence. You have to have an actual person behind the camera. And when I first did the stories, or the posts, I was petrified. And this is a thing as well, that people are only seeing the post. you share. They're not seeing the dozens of efforts that you've tried before that, where you've stuttered or you've said the wrong word or whatever. And I used to have to send my girlfriend out the house. She would go and walk the dog or like go into the bedroom or something when I was trying to do stories.
Nerve-wracking, isn't it?
It's petrifying. And now, even now, when I'm in the shop and I've got we've got some staff in there as well, I still find it hard to talk on the stories or record a video or something when they're there.
It's like speaking on stage. It's almost like that same anxious feeling.
Yeah.
I'm sure, thinking back, like your solo talk in high school, I think some people say that is the most petrified they've ever been, speaking in front of a crowd, and it's amplified. Like, yes, you're speaking to a camera, but when someone's there, it's sort of like, you're like, are they criticising me? Are they judging me? Am I saying the right things? Am I pissing them off? Like, just weird.
And people expect, I try and make the content we put out funny and engaging and that type of thing. People expect me to be that same person that I'm on the videos that they see and stuff like that. So it's hard.
You're finding it kind of just fine tuning it.
And it's nerve wracking. But yeah, it becomes easier and easier.
So when did you launch Pitstop? Was that 2021?
So Pitstop. So I stopped running the marketing business at the middle of 2020.
Right.
I basically I used it, for me, COVID and lockdown was very positive, because I used that time to get fit, get my head sorted, and kind of get my focus back, because nobody at that stage was starting a business.
Everyone was closing down.
Yeah, everybody was trying to figure out what they were doing, or they were put on furlough or anything like that. And the type of money and the income that I was making when I ran my previous business, nobody was hiring at that sort of level at that time. So I basically used that time to get fit, get my head sorted, train in the garage, train outside, walk the dog, just do everything I could. And that's kind of where the idea of supplements and Pitstop came from, because I would go online and I would buy some pre-workout, or I'd buy the low-calorie sauces or whatever it was. And at that point, I was like, I want to be able to buy all this stuff in one place. And that's kind of where...
So is that what you were finding at the time? You were going to different sites?
Yeah, so like these products are... There's obviously retailers that sell a lot of these brands. But yeah, I always found that I had to like search about to find different things. People always laugh, but like Califit sauce is the low-calorie sauce that we sell in the shop. I absolutely love it. It just tastes like normal sauce. But I always struggled to get it. It was always really difficult to get it. So that was one of the things I was like,
I am making sure
I'm making sure.
This.
Yeah.
So a selfish desire.
Yeah. I need to get this out to the rest of the world. People need to try it. So that was kind of like one of the brands that I was like, this is a difficult brand to get my hands on. So yeah, that's kind of, that's
so the idea kind of sparked. What does the name Pitstop? Why did you choose that?
To be honest, people think there's a meaning behind it. There's literally
something that just stuck out.
Something that stuck out, like you're trying to, you get your supplements, you stop, you take your pit stop, you refresh, you get your energy back. Yeah, like, so the kind of the slogan that we started with, which we don't kind of really use anymore, but the slogan is fuel for winners. So like that's kind of, you take a pit stop, you refuel, and you kind of go again type thing.
I like the method there.
Yeah.
It sounds cool.
Yeah.
Can you remember any of the other names you had at the start?
No, to be fair, that was pretty much, it was like one hit.
Yeah, like it.
Yeah.
So when you look at nutrition shops and those sort of things, it's usually like anabolic protein, like that's like this sort of dungeon look and doom and gloom and all that sort of stuff. Like everything's all black and red or whatever. Looking at that, was that did you do any sort of research or market research in the supplement shop fronts?
Yeah. So first of all, in Glasgow, there was basically nothing in terms of physical shops. There was nothing. So I definitely saw there was a market there, and obviously I started online first from doing this from home. But yeah, online everything was like it's very aggressive and masculine and like in your face type of thing, and I think that puts a lot of people off, because I think the majority of people that go to the gym are lifestyle. Yes, you've got your bodybuilders and you've got people that want to go and compete and do that type of thing, but the majority of people that go to the gym are just your normal people that probably don't feel comfortable to go into a shop and ask for advice, or when they go online they have no idea what they're looking for. So they either use their friends' recommendations, or I guess they're trying to find brands that maybe don't look like in your face or anything. Yeah, and also the other thing with starting Pitstop is that I wanted to stock the brands that had a social media presence as well, and that's definitely helped as well. Because
is that because of your marketing background? You had that eye, you knew that would. Yeah, a combination of that would give you more success.
Because I figured that if they had a decent presence and they would help promote me and say that, you know, we stock their brand and things like that, that's going to help get our name out there. And that 100% has. I now have really good relationships with like the majority, especially all the UK brands that we stock. We do stock some American brands, but like all the UK brands, got a good relationship with all the owners.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. There is more juicy conversation to come. Look, I'm going to ask a favour, and I know there's going to be a lot of you guys tuning into this episode and you don't really know who I am yet. But look, I've been doing this for the last 2 years, releasing episodes every Monday and Thursday without a doubt, and this is something I do for free. I genuinely love jumping into topics around health, fitness, and also diving into stories like Neil's. So the one ask I'm going to ask of you is, if you could leave a 5-star rating on Spotify, it's completely free to do. If you're watching on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this stuff, and leave a comment below on what you found of today's conversation. So with that being said, let's get back to the episode.
Build up relationships over time. That's the biggest thing about business, is if you've got people that will help you and support you, then you're going to grow together.
No, absolutely. Relationships and networking, it's key. So even just bouncing sometimes ideas off, but imagine, it's particularly in your world, you need a strong supply chain of products coming in, because that's really what keeps your business afloat.
Yeah, because actually when I first started, so I launched January the 5th, 2021 is when I launched. I started initially just from home, and I didn't know any of these brands, and even trying to set up a business and reach out to certain wholesalers to see if I could purchase their products that they stock and stuff like that. Some of them were like hesitant to have an account. Yeah, that type of thing.
What was the process there then? Was it just literally like shoot your shot in emails, phone up?
So initially,
hustling?
Yeah, so initially I reached out to them with my personal email address, and the majority of them were like, come back to us when you've got a business type thing. Right, so I ended up setting up a business, getting a business email, and just reaching out to them. And a lot of these wholesale accounts anyway, we just have websites that you would get a login and you would see all the stock, you would see the price, and you can just order that way. At that stage, ordering direct from brands, especially UK brands, was like a no-go. They've all got, the majority of them have like minimum order value and things like that. So I wasn't in that position. I basically used the last of my savings, around about £10,000, to set the business up. Right. And that wasn't all in stock. That was just setting the business.
Like your admin-y type softwares, they add up.
Yeah. So like these things, I think it was probably about £6,500–7,000 worth of stock that I ordered. And actually the original stock that I ordered, I probably got about 50% of it wrong.
So that I was going to come on to like the biggest lessons and stuff like that you have through it. But I've seen that just with a friend as well. Sometimes like when they launch clothing brands, for example, there's a big stock order that comes in. It's like there's an excitement part with it, but I think there's a realization. It's like these products need to get pushed, and if it's not a great product, then how? So do you believe you could still push out a product that maybe was a bit meh, or was that a challenge?
Back when we started, back then I kind of looked at my competitors and like, right, what brands are they stocking? What brands are they talking about? And that was kind of what I originally purchased. And I definitely made some mistakes, because I guess I was looking at it as a consumer as well, and I'd be like, oh, that's a cool product, that I want to stock that and that type of thing.
It's just your like weird like sauces and stuff like that. You're like, oh, nobody really likes it.
Nobody realizes it's just me. But like, so I definitely made mistakes looking at it from a consumer point of view rather than a business point of view. And I remember so I ordered this stock from this wholesaler, and they delivered it to my house on a pallet. I didn't even know that was a thing that would happen. And the guy just dropped it at the curb.
And that was
it. Like, there you go. And I had to handball all this order into my utility room.
Was that an exciting time for you, or were you nervous? Were you scared? Like, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, I was excited. To be fair, I think I was excited that I was getting involved in something. I didn't think, looking back at it, I never thought it would be as successful as it is now. My aim was, so the platform that we've built the website on is called Shopify, which is like one of the biggest e-commerce platforms out there. And I basically spent a couple months at the end of 2020 before we launched, adding all the products on, putting all the images on, and having no real idea how to use Shopify. So that was a skill in itself, learning how to do that. And then launching, I just kind of wanted to get, like, my aim was one sale a day. If I can get one sale a day, I think I'm doing well. And then the target kind of went up from there, and it was like £100 a day, and it was like £500 a day. And it takes time. And the days that you have no sales or little sales, you get frustrated and you get angry of like, what am I doing wrong, that type of thing. But you just need to stay at it. You know?
So we'll come back to like the actual strategy that you had to drive more business and all the lessons in that. But you brought in your this is your actual product, Rise and Shine. So talk about that. This is good product placement here, by the way.
Yeah,
I've never tried this before, so we're going to try this live on the actual podcast. So Rise and Shine. So what was so talk a little bit about that. So electrolytes is something that are becoming more and more people are hybrid training, all this.
Yeah.
Was that the idea behind it, or?
Yeah. So originally, once the business started building a bit of traction, the margins on the products are so small. I don't think people actually realise the amount you need to sell volume.
What's some of the smallest margins you see on some of your product on like products that you've experienced in the past?
I mean, so the thing I've learned over time is that with this industry, the more you buy, the cheaper you get, and the bigger discount. And actually, it's the wee guys that suffer.
Do you want to take a risk in ordering 1,000 units for something that may not sell?
Yeah, I mean, stuff like the sauces and stuff like that, you're literally making pennies off them.
But you're adamant.
I'm adamant that we're going to stock.
This is a product that needs to stay.
But you need to. This is where negotiation comes in and bang it. But it's one of these things that the small guys suffer because
it's the Titans that are running the show. And this is why I wanted to get you on, because for what I've seen over the last sort of 6 months to a year, when I first came across your page, I first heard about you, I was like, man, there's something different about what you guys are doing. It's not like more and more popularity. Like you've got who would you say your biggest competitor now? Is it like MyProtein?
I think so. These guys are the big guys.
They're at the top of the chain.
They're like manufacturing their own stuff in their own own facilities and stuff like that. I mean, that's kind of where you want to get to. I've got plans, and we obviously
dive into it. Yeah,
we can talk about it, but like I've got plans. I want to start manufacturing my own stuff.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
So this is the start of it then.
Yes. So the idea is going back to the margins, is that I realized that I wanted to bring out my own products because one, it helps the brand placement and people recognizing the brand, and also it's going to help increase the margins, which is going to allow the business to grow. So originally we brought out the essential range, which is like your creatine, your multivitamin, your omegas, that type of thing. And then it built up some traction and people were really supportive of the brand. So I was like, well, now's the time to sort of bring out a product, I guess like a flagship product that is not under the essential range, and it's something that's a bit different. It's been formulated specifically for us. And at the time, electrolytes, at the moment, hydration electrolytes is like is a big thing.
Huge.
Everybody's talking about it. And there's some very good products out there and there's some very bad products out there. But one of the things was, none of the brands that we stocked had nootropics in them, like anything that will also give you focus and concentration. So Stephen Cassidy, who's the I guess kind of the face of PCA, he's the guy on the mic on the stage that's sort of telling people where to stand and doing all that. He does a lot of stuff behind the scenes for PCA. He's got a very good background in supplements and nutrition, and he would come into the shop and I would talk to him, and he was like, let's try and formulate something, let's try and do something. So he helped pull the formula together for this, and we did some trials of the samples and stuff like that. And actually the ingredients in it are literally, like some of them are like, mushrooms and very earthy tasting. So to get the flavour right on it was really difficult. But actually, not just being big-headed, I think the flavours...
I'll give it a try just now. I've never tried it before, so I'll try that while you're explaining.
It's peach iced tea. But the idea is that it's called Rise and Shine. So the idea is you get up in the morning, you replenish your electrolytes from the night before, and it gives you a bit of a kickstart. So there's ingredients in there that help with concentration, mood uplift, focus, productivity. And a lot of people are telling me now that they're replacing their morning coffee with this because it's got slow releasing caffeine in it, so it gives you that boost and that focus.
Well, it tastes really good. I've never had iced tea before. I always see it in the menu and I'm like, I like iced coffee, but would I go for an iced tea? But I'm not just saying this, it does taste. It's nice and very sweet. So talk us through the process to try to get this to taste like this. Yeah. Is that a bit of a headache?
So a lot of people, I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand that, like, the process of how it works. Yeah. So I was so excited because this was the first product. All the other products we had were either unflavoured, like our creatine, or capsules like omegas and multivitamins. So this was the first product that we were bringing out that was a flavoured product. So I would take the
big decision as well to pick what do you go with.
Yeah, so this is the thing, is that you go to the process that we did was we would go to our manufacturer and we would give them the panel of ingredients, and we would say to them suggestions on flavours and stuff like that, and they would turn around and go to us that's not going to taste nice because of the type of ingredients, because they're like, you know, mushrooms and they're earthy tasting. You need to get the flavour. So actually that's kind of where the iced tea flavour came, because it's tea, you know, it's like a leaf, so it kind of goes with the type of ingredients that are in there. And then we tried different flavours. So there was I think we tried peach, we tried like an apple one, we tried like a blackcurrant one, and the peach one just stood out quite a bit. And then strawberry, which is the other flavour that we do, was another flavour that we got sampled at the start, and I really liked it.
So have you got strawberry as well?
The strawberries came out, yeah.
So how many of you? So did you just start with the?
Started with peach, and actually it absolutely boomed. It snowballed very quickly. Right. So we quickly brought out another flavour, and I think it's very much our flagship product, and it'll be something that we'll continue to push, and it will definitely bring out other flavours in it.
So how long since you've launched that now?
It came out this year. It came out the start of the year. Yeah. So it's about 9 months.
An exciting chapter then.
Yeah, definitely.
And that starts to grow into different flavours, and then is there any other products that you're thinking of?
Yeah,
like you're going to start doing?
So it depends when this podcast is coming out.
This will be not this Thursday, but next Thursday.
Right, okay. So we've got we've kind of got Pitstop's. So Pitstop Plus is Rise and Shine's opposite product, which would be a sleep product. So Night it's called. Not announced that or anything on social media yet, but that's a sleep product. So that's kind of your product that you take at night where you calm down. You take it about an hour before you go to bed, and just you feel relaxed. We'll put you in a deeper sleep. You'll get a better quality of sleep.
Good. I like it. Yeah. So we'll circle back around to this, but yeah, I think it's fantastic. So how that can be ordered online, and you can obviously get it in store.
Get it in store.
I like it. So I'll leave a link in the show notes for that. I like it. It's really
good.
Taste.
You can have a part of your tub.
I'll try it for the next. I'll use it. I'll probably finish it. So I'm massive on caffeine. I'm always drinking something on a podcast, so it might be something I get the guests to do when they come on. It's like, you ever tried this before?
You should feel like very quickly, within like 10-15 minutes, you should feel very like dialed in and focused. It's a great tool for sitting doing work.
Who is James Smith and Chris Williamson anyway? What is it? What do they call theirs? Can't even remember the name yet.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the you reaching into that market and competing against them. Yeah. Well, things like Prime, like your creator brands, like there's a reason why everyone's sort of doing their own thing with that. And I think it's a very smart strategy to pivot into, not just from the margin sense, but like you said, your brand stamp.
Yeah. So product. Like we've now, the industry is quite I guess it's not a very friendly industry in the sense that other retailers won't necessarily want to stock Pitstop Plus's product because it's attached to a retailer. So it's only available in our shop at the moment. There's a couple gyms that we stock as well. We've got it in their gyms as well. But I would love to be able to like get the brand out there, and the only way we can really do that is to grow the range of products that we have, so that when we've got 15, 20 products, it might be a brand that an actual retailer would go, actually this is something that's got some weight behind it now. But yeah, at the moment it's bringing people to Pitstop because we're the only people that sell it. So,
that's cool. So let's circle back to when you're starting out then. What is the marketing strategy You buy £6,000-7,000 worth of stock.
Yep.
And is it you're setting up the products on Shopify, and then is it through your experience that you've had refining that skill of being in the marketing world for 10 years, you're like, okay, I feel I could run ads and I can drive traffic to that? Is that how?
Yeah, so pretty much. So the original strategy was a friend of mine who specialises in like paid ads helped me set up some paid ads. We put like a pixel on the website so we could retarget people off Facebook. We set up some email flows, post-purchase email flows, so when people buy, they would get targeted with like 3 or 4 emails over a period of time. And originally, and I need to thank my girlfriend for this, but originally we would reach out to some influencers and basically send them some free stock, ask them to talk about it, give them a discount code, or even just ask them to promote it and say that they bought it from us. And actually, probably the person that helped the most there was a girl called Donna Cowan, who she was a hairdresser actually, and at lockdown she got put on furlough, and she kind of blew up on social media just showing her life, just like out walking, doing steps, when it was lockdown type thing, training in the garden and stuff like that. And she was quite local. She was Glasgow based, so I reached out to her and I sent her some protein bars, because at that stage we did like a protein bar subscription where every month you would get like, I think it was 8 or 9 bars sent out to you automatically. Eventually, after doing it for a year, you kind of run out of bars to send to people. But I would send her the bars every month, and she would promote it. And like every day or every second day, just say, I'm going to have this bar. Buy it at Pitstop. And she was a massive influence in terms of getting the initial traction. And at that stage, it was just random that she was Glasgow based, but we weren't promoting ourselves as a Glasgow company because we didn't have a shop. I was just doing it from my house.
E-commerce.
Yeah, just doing it from my house. So we would reach out to some people down south as well, and then kind of got a bit of traction. My girlfriend and myself over lockdown used online coaches to help with like food and training and things like that. So we reached out to them and said, would you like to be a part of this and help promote it as well? So I guess we took on like some athletes that had a code, and they pushed it to their clients and on social media, and it kind of just built a bit of traction from there, basically. And I think one thing I would definitely say that we were lucky in hindsight is that because I started this online initially and we were shipping all over the UK, when we opened up the shop in Glasgow, it wasn't just a Scottish brand. Like we still get...
You got a UK presence.
We've got a UK presence now, so the majority of orders online are still down south, which, if we'd started a shop initially, I don't think we would have had that. We would have had that traction,
that flow.
Yeah.
How does the supply chain work at this point? So you've got all the stock, obviously. As you're starting to sell more stuff, like how are you shipping out? Like, talk us through that, because I know that's not like, I know a few people have started like e-commerce, and it's like you're really in the dirt with it all. It's like everything's getting stickered, shipped, boxed, all that sort of thing.
So downstairs in our house we have a small utility room, and literally that's where I packed everything. All the stock was on like a worktop, like a kitchen worktop, and all the tubs of pre-workouts were just stacked on top of each other, like 10 high. And regularly someone would order and it would be like 3 rows back at the bottom, and then all the tubs would fall down, and like
it's that bodybuilder's wet dream right there. It's like, oh, but this is, I want my house to look like this.
Yeah, crazy.
I can imagine.
And we would, like, as we started to get orders in and I was replacing the stock, the deliveries would come, and I was ordering sort of small and often is kind of the strategy. Right. The way that these websites work is that people order, and then a couple of days later you kind of get paid out from the website, so you use that money to go and buy stock and replace it and stuff like that.
Did you have percentages you're working at from what you'd learned before? Like,
so this is the things I kind of looked at what my competitors were selling at, what I was paying at, not knowing whether or not they were buying at the same price as me, or if they were buying it cheaper or whatever. But yeah, kind of working at what the margin is, and there's definitely a margin there that when you sell other people's brands, you tend to try and work to that type of margin. yeah, and you think that that's the margin, but actually when you add in the box and you add in the shipping cost and the tape that you use to put it in, I put in little thank you cards into all the orders and stuff like that. The margin goes away very quickly, you know.
So all those little things that you do, like that's where people's like, oh, don't put a thank you note in, for example, because you can save, I don't know, maybe increases your cost per unit by, I don't know, 10p, 15p, whatever it ends up coming to. But having the background in marketing, I think you can see the longevity in customer retention and buying again.
Yeah.
Is that where did you know what your numbers were sort of going into that at the time?
No, to be honest, probably, as I say, I was just kind of trying to get, like, if I could do one sale a day or two sales a day.
So that was it's simple maths.
It was just simple, and I probably did have a date in my head of like, I need to try and get something out of this by a certain time for me to continue doing it. And that decision was probably, I did it from home for a year, and then I wanted to get a presence in a shop, and that was a huge risk to go and do that. But
it's just more overheads.
More overheads. I had no overheads initially, but I felt as if Glasgow didn't have many supplement shops, so competition in the area I felt was quite low. And the business park that we moved into, Morris Park, is surrounded in gyms. Like there's
perfect market.
Yeah, there's like 20 PT studios in there and a couple commercial gyms as well. So I was like, this is an ideal place to come. And we moved in a year later after doing it from my house for a year. Right as kind of lockdown and things like that were kind of calming down.
How long have you been together with your girlfriend?
She's going to kill me if I get the date wrong. 7 years.
Right, so she's seen you kind of going through this process.
Yeah.
Choosing, like, what did you have any sort of, like, people getting taken back with that you were choosing to go down the supplement line, then coming from a world where it was good on the computers, IT, marketing, like something that you're established in, and then making this drastic pivot to what?
Yeah.
You're doing a supplement business?
Yeah. I mean, everybody, all my friends were kind of, you know, my family members were like, what you're doing here? But I think that having the skill set of the marketing knowledge, and being on the tools myself in the past, doing the marketing stuff and knowing how to run a business, it kind of made perfect sense, because I kind of over that year during lockdown, when I took a bit of time out and I kind of got my head sorted and kind of a bit of focus again, I was like, I've got the skill set of running a business, so I can put that into any industry, and actually running the business is the side of things that I enjoy the most. So I just need to find something that I enjoy, and yeah, it was either that, or as lockdown was starting to, after that year of me being off and lockdown was kind of calming down, I'd have had to have gone and got a job. And being not working for a year, and everybody very conscious about money, and businesses still not really hiring like top level staff members and stuff like that, I would have probably ended up doing something that I didn't really enjoy. And I would have probably found it, talking it like going about the rat race, but like finding it hard to get back out of that. And I think one of the things I'm grateful for, although it was obviously a bad time in my life around my motorbike accident, was it gave me that step back to go, this is my opportunity to try and do something myself. Because like if you're if you're stuck in the rat race and you're scared to take a step back and
forced your hand,
leave that regular income, and that's where a lot of people struggle. A lot of people in coaches especially are probably they benefit the most when they can focus on it full time. So a lot of them coaches maybe start to work part-time PTing or something like that, and then eventually try and go online.
So it's two big things that's happened in your life that's allowed you to give you that space to think, and I think it's kind of highlighting the importance that
definitely
that time allowed you to go, right, here's the decision I'm going to make, here's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Did you ever deal with any like lack of belief or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. During lockdown, when I took that time, it took me a good few months.
Is that where your headspace maybe was in a bad place, right?
Yeah, to try and figure out what I was going to do, and you just have to get the belief back that you actually you can do it.
How did you do it?
So, fitness was definitely a big thing. Getting out there walking the dog, training in the garden, eating healthy. And I think, like, again, I mentioned it earlier, but like lockdown was a very positive thing for me, and it was a very negative thing for a lot of people, but definitely, I got fitter out of it. I got my mental space back on track and things like that. So it definitely, just time, and you just got to stay focused.
Good. So you mentioned competitors a few times starting out. Who is your competitors when you're starting out? Like, who are you looking at? Like you, because you're always, when you start a business, you kind of look at who's doing good in the industry, and you're like, I'd like that. I'd like to replicate something similar to them.
So, funnily enough, so there's a brand, Insight Supplements, which is probably one of the biggest independent online retailers, and Danny that owns it. And I did reach out to him at the time to try and get some advice and stuff like that. And obviously he's going to be a bit hesitant and stuff like that, but actually he was really supportive. And actually we've done a full circle, because we've now, both of us have started another brand called Enigma Sups. So we've started a brand. I got invited to his wedding a couple of months ago as well. So it's like, it's crazy.
It's a sign of a good business owner, though, a good, even just a good person to have in your network is someone who doesn't, and I understand why people hold their cards close to their chest. Sure. They've been stung in the past and all this sort of stuff, but that's done me more good to be open with everything, whether it's how much you pay for the building, how much the podcast costs, like all these sort of things, being very open and transparent has got me more good back than it has negative.
100%. And actually the relationships that I have in the industry now with the other brands and the other retailers that I've got good relationships with now is because we've been open and honest, and when it's been a quiet day or you've had a bad day, you're telling them that, rather than like saying, "Well, I've had the best day of sales I've ever had today," or when it's not, you're very open and honest. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But he was great. He was very supportive. He told me like initially the wholesalers and what type of brands and who I should maybe speak to initially. So I'm like,
was that the best advice you got from him then? So that was going to be a question I had.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely pointed me in the right direction, when probably no other retailer or anybody else in the industry would probably
lend you a hand.
Yeah, would help me out.
Did you have any other any form of mentorships or any sort of like connections, friendships that were sort of helping you through that process?
To be honest, no.
Trial and error?
Yeah, trial and error. As I said, my girlfriend and myself had online coaches, and they helped push it initially before anything like formal was agreed or anything like that. As athletes, they were given a code and they would help push it and that type of thing. So I guess they did it, and they also introduced me to other people in the industry who were coaches and had clients and stuff, because that was obviously, that's how, as well as the influencer side of things, getting your athletes that you sponsor and that help push the brand to their clients is a massively important way of growing the business.
Yeah, so influencer marketing is something that I actually wrote down as when I was doing a bit of prep for this podcast. And on one hand, I've seen a lot of people say that influencer marketing's dead, but that's been from looking at the Instagram and the athletes and that you sponsored have been something you've been heavily invested in. Would you say you've broke even, lost money, or gained money from that, from the monetary perspective, albeit it's not just about that, because you can't really measure brand awareness, who's came from where. Yeah. But would you say it's like initial financial?
I definitely think it's a positive. Right. Yeah. Because I mean, you can also tell as well, if somebody talks about this product and this is their favourite flavour, and over the next week you'll find that you're selling a lot of that product and stuff. So like influencers out there definitely still have a positive effect on people, for sure.
Have you had anyone that you chose to work with that you quickly realised they've maybe falsely, I don't know what the word is, like bought followers or something like that? Have you been caught up in any of that sort of stuff?
We've been pretty good, and actually having the shop and running events and having the athletes and the guys that we sponsor to come up to the shop, and we do Christmas nights out, and we for them, and we do events in the shop. I know them all personally. Like I think probably quite a lot of retailers or competitors that we have that have sponsored athletes have probably never met their athletes in person.
Why do you do that?
Why do we do the events? The community. So like I also think, again, we touched it on at the very start, but like all the supplement shops they're all quite like they're aggressive and masculine and in your face, and there's such a big market of people out there that want to go to a supplement shop but feel uncomfortable about it. So, you know, we'll do a couple of events every year, and there's the community, and it's crazy because outside the shop, or inside the shop obviously as well, people will just come to these events and just hang out for 3-4 hours and just talk to like-minded people, and talk to other people that they follow, and chat about it and how their journey is going. And I love it, like being in the shop, people coming in, you get to know their journey, you get to know if they're on a diet or if they're bulking, or like what bodybuilding show they're competing in or whatever. And it's just the community aspect of it, and actually having a physical shop is the only way to do it, through a physical shop. It's easy if somebody tags you online saying thanks for my delivery, and you say, oh, thanks for ordering from us.
Though, don't you, when it's all...
There's no personal touch when you're actually meeting people.
So the whole style of like brick and mortars, like you look at any high street in your local town, it's like hairdressers, takeaways, and I don't know, maybe a sunbed shop. And the sort of retail space seems to be dwindling in that front. You made the decision to have a shop front. Was it always going to be a shop front, or was it like a warehouse idea to begin with?
So we did put a shop in it initially because I wanted to get...
You wanted to see that footfall.
I wanted to see that footfall. And I say Glasgow it doesn't have many supplement shops. So I definitely wanted to try and target a different demographic in a different location, because most of our business was down south from online sales. So yeah, like having the presence, you know, we need it. And also, I'd literally had run out of room in my house.
I was going to say, like, yeah, there has to be a decision that's made, like, we need to store this somewhere else.
Yeah, like there was like the deliver. You know, sometimes we would get 6 or 7 boxes, big boxes coming with protein powders in them, and
did you eat any solid food during this period, or was it just supplements?
Yeah, I just lived off protein powder
and the protein bars.
Yeah,
good. So, kind of fast forwarding a little bit then. So the business is kind of grown substantially. It's like doing in a really good place. Led you on to the rise and shine, bringing your own products in. What's the sort of next idea or goal for you guys as a business?
So definitely going to continue to grow the Pitstop Plus range, bring out other products. I think at the moment we've got 11 products in that brand. So by the end of next year, I want to probably have over 20. We recently put a small shop in Irving's gym in Hamilton. Nicky and Ross, who are great guys, opened up their gym. It kind of just happened like by coincidence, but we kind of reached out to each other at the same time. And like, Ross said, I'm opening up a gym, it'd be great to have a shop in it. And I kind of was like, well, you opening up a gym, it'd be great to have a shop in it. So we kind of like reached out to each other at the same time. And he, like, it's amazing because he said to me, he was like, oh, Pitstop's got such a good brand now, and it'd be great to be like associated with it.
Is that like a pinch me moment?
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I mean, like going to like the expos that we go to and having stands at it, and seeing us advertised that we're going to be there, and people getting excited for that type of things, like, it's crazy. So Nicky and Ross have been really supportive, and we came up with the concept of Pitstop Express, which is kind of like a small pop-up shop in gyms. It's not associated necessarily with Pitstop Nutrition, so you can't click and collect or anything like that. It's like a sub brand. But it's been really successful for him, and he likes being associated with Pitstop, which is
makes it feels like more legit. Especially so I not only know Ross through online. We were speaking about this when I met you last week, and setting up like the world that he's in, like hardcore bodybuilder. He's like literally living his dream life now, like opening a gym, like everything that you wanted. Supplements would play a big part in that. He's
passionate about his gym equipment and stuff like that. So he's literally his ideal gym, and he's just made a commercial. So
so you're going to grow more of them? Is that an idea?
Yeah. So we're about to put another 2 gyms, another 2 shops into gyms.
What are you looking for like? Is this just again the trial part? How does it benefit your business? Is it more from the brand awareness or what?
So definitely the brand awareness. So part of I guess part of the agreement So the way it kind of, I guess it works is that we'll help supply them with the products. We've obviously got a huge range. Not every wholesaler sells all the brands that you would want to stock. So like we obviously sell a big range. So these gyms, we can stock these gyms. And also the Pitstop Plus range has a good bit of traction behind it. People want to have the Pitstop Creatine or Rise and Shine, and they want to sell it. So I guess having the Pitstop Express allows you to have those products as well,
to them and that sort of
which
thing.
in Glasgow, I guess, has a bit of traction behind it now, and people know that brand.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the immediate plan of what we're looking to do. I would love to get into manufacturing my own products, but it's big money.
Is it? What are we talking like?
Well, I guess you would need to buy the equipment,
Right.
which is obviously expensive, and then you would need to go and buy, like, for example, a ton of creatine at a time, which is probably I don't even want to think how expensive that would be. But then you need to obviously buy the tubs and the scoops and the lids, and you can't just buy 100 or 200 of at a time. You probably need to buy 10,000 scoops and 10,000 tubs, and that's just one. That's just creatine. That's just one product, one ingredient. So if you want to do a multivitamin or something like that, you would need to go and buy 15, 20 products. So it's a huge investment. But I was given the advice as well recently that if you can make your own stuff, you're making better margins off your own product at the moment. If you can make that even better and manufacture it yourself and cut out using a third party, then there's going to be more profit in it as well. Yeah. But it's obviously a huge outlay.
No, I like that. So you mentioned that was a pinch me moment. Kind of looking back, what some other things that stand out to you in your mind where you're like, holy shit, this is working?
So when I opened the shop, we did a launch event, and my wee boy was 2 months old at the time. And looking back at the reels and stuff like that, you can see we're absolutely knackered and looking back at. But the shop that day when we launched was absolutely buzzing. There was hundreds of people turning up, and when we do the events, so we did the summer extravaganza event recently in the shop, and it was crazy. I mean, just the amount of people. There's like 300 people turning up on the day, and everybody's chatting to everybody. They are pinch me moments for sure. That we've got that sort of traction and we've created that community, and getting feedback off our own products, like the Rise and Shine launch, and people absolutely loving it, and like I say, now it's part of people's daily stacks now. That's a thing that they get up in the morning and have, which is crazy.
That's cool. That is cool. So I didn't know you were a dad. Is this, you got one?
One boy. Yeah. He's two and a half.
What's that like then?
Amazing. He's got a good wee personality now and things like that. So he's good fun, and for me as well, like leaving him, like having a legacy and having something that he can be proud of his dad. I think that's a big thing as well. I want him to grow up and see that I've got a successful business there and all that sort of thing. I
like that as a driving force. So let's kind of move away from the business side of things. What about like relationship with family? Are you close to your parents and that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So I've got a brother and sister, and obviously my mum and dad, who are getting on a wee bit now, because I'm going to be 41 this month. But yeah, they're great. They watch my wee boy once a week, and they're always FaceTiming him and stuff like that as well. And close to my brother and sister as well.
So pretty tight knit family.
Yeah.
And is that something that you found challenging, launching the business and try to keep you like being a dad during this period of time and all this sort of stuff? Has that been a challenge for you?
So the thing, I guess, with running your own business is you can never stop. Like, you don't get a day off, especially doing retail. So we're now open 7 days a week. So the shop doesn't shut. The shop only shuts Christmas Day and New Year's Day, 2 days a year. We're open every other time, so that I'm always on my phone or having to go to a meeting or run the shop or things like that. So yeah, when we started, it's hard work. Trying to get traction. You want to try and get things going.
When's the last time you took a break?
So actually, this year I've been fortunate. I've been to Greece and France
Right,
over the last couple of months, which has been good. But probably before that, before Pitstop started was probably my first
kind of.
Yeah.
That's the last time you had that switch off.
That switch off, yeah.
You have a couple of people working for you and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So when you go away, when you're not in the shop, how hard was the first experience, first time to give your trust to this, to your baby, basically?
Very, very hard. And actually, very hard. So we originally started, I started with Martin, who was our first employee, and he just worked part-time. And then since then, there's 5 of us, including me, so there's another 4 guys. And they're great. They're so supportive of the brand. Yeah, it's very hard to walk away from your business. And actually, a lot of them now just tell me to
beat it.
Yeah, beat it, and they've got it under control. And it is a bit of a wanky saying, but like, to work on the business rather than in the business is definitely something that I'm trying to do now, because I always like
to push it forward.
Yeah. I'm even, because I am the guys in the shop will tell you, but I'm very pernickety about how we pack the orders with the thank you card, and how we pack it, and
presentation
and that type of thing, and how keeping the shop always stocked full at the front and stuff like that. So I am quite pernickety about it. But you do need to let people just do their jobs,
Yeah. What have you learned about yourself as a leader and a business owner?
I'm probably quite bad with micromanaging.
I think so.
Yeah, but that's something that I'm trying to.
That's the IT within you. Everything needs to be very particular.
I'm trying to learn from that. I think the thing for me is, to be a business owner, you need to be not scared. Like, you need to have the confidence in yourself. And I think on a personal level, I'm probably quite like that. But in business, I'm not scared of spending money or taking a risk and buying this product or doing this or spending money at this event. Because you need to do these things, to try and make it work, and then figure out from your mistakes.
And you need to get the lessons, don't you? Because you can't just win them all.
Yeah.
Because you need the losses to shape up everything.
Yeah.
So talking about like the actual supplements that you decided to stack in your business, like what was the decision making within that?
In terms of the range?
Yeah, like what was it you were looking for? Was it just pure popularity? What everyone else was sort of gravitating towards? Feedback from?
Yeah, so I definitely made mistakes on certain products, certain brands that I thought were more popular than they were. And it's funny because obviously when you go to the wholesalers that we originally purchased stuff from, they sell lots of brands. And a lot of my competitors don't sell certain brands, or they don't, and you wonder why. But you've got to make mistakes and figure out what works for you, and then a lot of retailers out there are very focused on American brands. A lot of them are very focused on UK brands. There's a retailer out there that only stocks like 4 or 5 brands in the UK now, and that's, they just stock their full range, but they just focus on those, building relationships with those 4 brands, and then other people have will stock 100 brands, different things. But yeah, like I like to stock a good variety of different products and different brands, but not too much.
What's the cut off for like when you would maybe cut ties with a particular brand?
I think, at the end of the day, it comes down to sales. If people aren't purchasing that product, then you need to discontinue or move it away. We've not really moved away from brands as a whole, but certain products within brands we've changed about. Yeah. And I did make a conscious effort to stock products that worked well with the Pitstop Plus range as well. So focused on having our Amigas and maybe another brand's Amigas, but not having 5 different.
Too many too many options.
Yeah.
It's like Netflix. You end up spending half an hour trying to pick what you want to watch.
Yeah, and then it's too late.
You're in for creatine. It's like there's only 2 choices, so go with it. Yeah. So is that like one of the lessons you've learned with stocking too much of a variety of?
Yeah, because people, especially online, people then are looking at, they don't know what to order, they don't know the difference. The good thing about having a shop is people can come in and you can talk to them, and I think actually you touched on it earlier about retail stores kind of dying in certain industries, and people love to come in and talk about supplements, and actually they come in and when you understand what they're looking for and you tell them and you can like educate them in terms of what product might work for them, then they understand, and they never would have got that from going online and buying it online. Yeah. So like education's like obviously a big thing, but I still think having a retail store in supplements is
well, it's quite sad to see, because we always been in the gym world since I was a young kid. I always remember being hyped up, so I want to go to the supplement shop because you want to get the protein powders or mass gainers, and they'd open up shop like in Wisha and stuff like that, and within 3-4 months it'd be closed down again and all that sort of stuff. What do you believe is the reason that happened? Do you think it was just the time that they were trying to get into the world, that wasn't as much of a social media presence, or like, do you think it was to do with the sort of doom and gloom type of look?
So a little. So I think it's how you brand yourself. Like I really do, and I think the one thing that we've done well is that we've promoted ourselves as a friendly, welcoming, nice community shop, and I think that's a big thing, you know. You've got marketing's at the end of the day now. I think now it's how you market it. I don't think anybody can have a business without having a social media presence, you know.
Yes, some people still do it, which baffles me. I come across them, like maybe there's a lot of businesses reaching out. It's like, we want to start a podcast, we want to start posting social media, and it's like, right, what is your social media handle just now? And it's like a post for 2019 and 2022, and it's like, right, okay, and it's like, oh, we do pretty well, we do X, Y, Z. And it's like, man, you just get like, there's so much positive to get out of running a social media, having a social media presence.
Because I guess the thing is, if they're wanting to do a podcast and they're not consistent with just posting content in general, it's a hard thing
stuff. Let's talk about the quality of supplements then. How important is that for you? Because I think this is another thing that I would imagine, being the business owner, is quite hard to balance the decision of like having good reputable brand, building relationships with brand, but then also the quality of products, because let's be honest, the only way to increase those margins is if those products can become cheaper. If they become cheaper, then there has to be a bit of quality that's dropped.
So probably the brands that we work with are all well-established brands. They're all manufactured either themselves in their own facility, like a brand like Applied Nutrition, which I think are like the biggest supplement company in Europe at the moment. They've got their own manufacturing facility, or they're getting made in official manufacturing facilities. So like I've always been very cautious of not stocking brands where they're not done like that. Obviously the American brands, you know, that you maybe don't know as much information about them, but again, the brands that we stock are all well-established American brands that are imported into the UK through wholesalers, and checks are done and things like that. But yeah, like the manufacturing facility that we make Pitstop products, for example, it's all its accreditations, and it's all, you know, it's tested regularly and that type of thing.
Because there's a bit of shade kind of thrown into like the supplementation world. I think it was like, I don't know if there was this pre-COVID or post-COVID, where like there was things getting added to the ingredients, and the quality assurance and stuff like that was kind of moved over.
There's the saying bathtub pre-workout and stuff like that, where people make it in the bathtub and putting it into pots and stuff like that.
And there is like there's the whole black market world of supplementations as well, like where you've got obviously your anabolics and stuff like that, and usually supplement shops get caught up in that one, and it just becomes like a one-stop shop for all of that, and I think that's where maybe that bad look comes from sometimes.
Probably, and there's brands out there that use ingredients that aren't allowed in the UK. Like a lot of these ingredients are allowed in the States.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, which is crazy. And a lot of these brands are repurposing their products to make it into a UK product so that it's allowed to be sold here and stuff like that. But the original product, if you go to America and buy it, it's completely different.
Well, it's the same with like even food. I can have, I don't know, what was it I was eating? It was like, I was ordering like a bagel with like cheese and ham on it here, and I was roughly maybe 400 or 500 calories and things like that. And I remember I was in Vegas and I had roughly the same thing. I was looking at the menu and I was like, why is that saying 1,300 calories? What the hell are they putting into that? And it tasted like, it was, don't get me wrong, it was nice, but I was like, man, this is definitely different to what we have back home.
Did you like Vegas?
Vegas was cool, yeah. So I had the opportunity to go twice, which mental in the space of like 8 weeks. One was a stag do, and then one was I was over at a fitness event from guys called Mind Pump. Right. If you've heard of them. So they're like really big in the fitness world, especially in the podcasting place, and I've kind of looked up to them as like mentors and leaders and that. So went out there initially for that, and we circled back round. But yeah, the world of just on the spaces of like supplements out there is crazy. Like it's, you talk about like saturated and competitive markets, man. I think where were we? We were in like one of the high streets. In fact, we went to Gold's Gym. In Gold's Gym, like you kind of look at their supplement range. It was almost like a supplement store within it, and then they had their Gold's range and all that. It was crazy, absolutely mental. A question, I guess it'd be good to see what your answer is on. What's the difference with someone coming to your store and ordering from you and going into Asda or Home Bargains? Because a lot of people, and I find this with clients, is like, I'll just get protein for Tesco, and I'm like,
So the brands that these like Holland and Barrett or Asda or Tesco are selling, I guess are well established, either American like Optimum Nutrition or like brands like that, and these I think these shops probably sell these products because they're so well established and everybody knows what Optimum Nutrition is. I mean, the amount of people that come into our shop and ask for it is crazy, because that's the brand that they seem to know, even though they've maybe never had it before. They just know that that's the brand that
we've been in this space for. I remember it.
Crazy.
First mass gainer.
But it's an American product. It's so expensive to bring into the country. It's not cost efficient. In terms of quality, it's completely fine. At the end of the day, these, stuff like My Protein and things like that they're making it on such a big scale that they're making it themselves. They have so much flexibility in their cost, and that's why they can be so competitive. There's nothing wrong with the quality. Like, that's me being honest. There's nothing wrong with the quality. They're so well established that they can just be the big boys in the industry.
And that's the biggest challenge you'll face then.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
So I think like we want to work with brands that are like active on social media, and but also working with the smaller brands, or the guys that, I say we touched on it earlier, but like building your business together and helping each other and being supportive of each other and stuff like that. Like, if I want to stock Optimum Nutrition, I'm not going to be able to pick up the phone and speak to the owner of it or whatever. That.
So you like the connection piece to that?
Yeah. I like the business side of things. I love relationships on a business side, and building that.
Yeah.
And having a bit of banter and stuff like that.
No, I like it. Knowing everything that you know now, if you had to redo it, what comes to mind is like the big things that it's like, I wouldn't have done this, I would do this now.
To be honest, I don't have many regrets. I would probably have opened up a shop sooner.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, like I think that was
it's a kind of scary decision that you don't know what's going to come.
You don't know what's going to happen, but also having the physical shop and going on the stories, like or recording content with a shop background behind you. Like for the first year when I was doing it from home, I would just stand at a white wall behind me and just, this has been restocked, or this is what we're bringing in today. And, you got to try and not pretend, but you've got to try and come across that, you've got a whole stock room behind you of loads of stock and stuff like that. I'll be honest, I don't have many regrets in terms of, I've made mistakes for sure, in terms of like, buying too much of this product or not, or spending this money on this software or that type of thing, or going to this event. But overall, I don't have too many regrets.
That's good. It's a good way to kind of look. I don't think you should ever really regret something.
Yeah.
Anyway, because I think
you learn from it.
Yeah, you've got a really resilient outlook towards everything, like regardless of the naysayers in your life. And it's like, you know what, I believe in myself and I'm going to do that. And it's like, you're very curious, like where that self-belief comes from. So was there a lot of support, like growing up through life, or is it having your girlfriend in your corner?
Yeah,
like,
so Suzanne has definitely been incredible in terms of like when my previous business kind of came to an end, and she was very supportive moving into this period of time when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And she was put on furlough from her work, so for a period of time, for a few months, we had a bit of time on our hands, and we both kind of pushed each other to get into fitness and look after each other and get out there and go for walks and stuff like that.
you think you grew closer as a couple during that
definitely,
time? Yeah.
definitely. Although it obviously has its difficulties as well, because she's also from a marketing background, and she has helped massively in terms of doing a lot of stuff in the background. So she helps with the emails that go out, coming up with content ideas, the email flows, dealing with the helping getting the labels designed from the designer and communicating that type of thing. So it's very hard for us to switch off. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't be where I was if I didn't have someone like her in my corner, for sure. Yeah, because it's hard. It's funny because growing up, I never thought I would be a business owner.
No.
I think I'm a confident business owner, but in the rest of my life and other aspects, I don't feel massively confident.
What wouldn't they give you confidence just now?
I don't know. Like I guess I'm quite a shy person. Like I'm confident in my abilities to run a business, but like I guess not confident. Just like other things, like I don't know, public speaking, or like just confident. Just speaking to people I don't know that well, and that side of things. I
just being in a normal social settings, like a business question comes up, and you're like, oh, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
and then when it's not to be about business, you're like, oh, shit,
just like for example, I've been recognised a couple of times, being in and around Glasgow, and then I kind of always struggle with that type of thing. Whereas when you're talking on camera, you can be as confident and as funny as you can, and that I always try to be.
Would you say you're introverted?
No, I don't think so. But like, I like to play up to the camera, because I think Pitstop has a story behind it, and
humorous side to it.
Yeah. So you've got to, like, I always do funny things with Molly the dog, or I'll try and be funny on the stories, or that type of thing, or the content that we put out. The creative side of things is always I try and make it funny and stuff like that. And if I can make myself laugh, then I know other people are going to laugh at it. Yeah,
that's the one thing that I don't know how people can be comedians in this day and age. I don't know if I could ever, because we can sort of hide behind the camera, hide behind the social thing. It's like, do I leave that in? Will people actually laugh at that?
And the thing is, again, you only see, if you're putting out stories or reels, you only see what you want the end person to see. Whereas it could take you dozens of times to redo it, until you might do it and it's not funny, or you might redo it and do it, or you mumble your words and eventually you get it right. So I guess that's the good thing of social media, is that, or the bad thing is that you're putting out the best version of what you want people to see, which is not always true when it comes to like showing your life and this is what on holiday and all these amazing photos and stuff. You're not showing the true self. But from a business point of view, it's good because you can always get it right.
No, good. Speaking of business, then, it might be the business that you've chosen, but knowing everything that you know now, see if you had to start another business, what would be like? Is there another sort of dream idea out there, or are you sort of living it?
To be honest, I actually love what I do, and I never, even when I did the marketing business or any other job that I've done in the past, I wouldn't say that I was overly happy or thought that was what I was going to do. I love doing what I do at the moment, and I don't feel I'm anywhere near complete to going, this is where I can take this business in terms of, the brand that we've got or the products that we've got or whatever. I think there's still a big journey. There's still many chapters still to come out of the back of it. Like I say, getting the Pitstop Express into other gyms, possibly opening up another shop, maybe looking at franchises, maybe down south that people want to take the brand, and you know, these are all things that are new and scary that I've no idea how to do, but like, you know,
prepared to take it.
So I don't feel as if the Pitstop story is near an end at all.
Just beginning.
Yeah. So, yeah. And
if you had to kind of iron out what the dream is with the brand, with the business, where do you see it?
I would love, so the Pitstop Plus products, I would love for that to be a standalone brand where other retailers want to stock it. I also have another brand that I set up with Danny called Enigma, which the idea of that is that we set up a brand that we can push to other retailers. So hopefully grow.
It's not attached to your shop,
to a retailer as such. So hopefully we can grow that brand.
Is it the same formulas?
No, it's
you have to go different.
So at the moment that has two products. One's a stim pre-workout, one's a non-stim pre-workout.
That'd be like a fuck you to them. It's like,
yeah.
Well, we've got this other product we can push to you guys. You can take this.
So I don't think in the short term I would ever do like a pre-workout with Pitstop under the Pitstop name. So that's kind of what Enigma is there to do. Is that's a pre-workout, a stim and a non-stim, and we will grow that to be much more, I guess, product like standalone product focus. So like a lot of brands will, you know, they'll do pre-workouts, they'll do aminos, they'll do, you know, creatine, protein powder, like that type of core brand products that a lot of these brands have to do. But yeah, I think I'd love to have a couple other shops, and I'd like to obviously get, as I say, Pitstop Plus products to be stocked elsewhere, and have these Pitstop Express pop-ups.
I like it.
Would be great.
What about athlete-wise? Is that something you're looking to push more out of, or are you quite happy with like the range of guys that you've got?
Yeah, so we've got 11 athletes that we sponsor at the moment. Right. Their lives change as well. So like over in the past, the couple of the guys that we don't work with anymore, their personal life and their setups have changed. You know, some of them aren't doing online coaching anymore. You know, so it's kind of a thing where the athletes is a funny thing, because I always get asked, you know, can I be an athlete? Can I be part of your team and stuff like that? And there's no definite answer of what you need to do or what we're looking for. For me, the one thing that I think we've had good results from the athletes that we work with is because there's a relationship there, and I think that's a big thing, is that you've got that personal relationship. They're attached to the brand because there's a face behind it and all that as well, and we've got a physical shop, so that makes people want to support you more. So yeah, we will obviously, I think, always have athletes, because I think that's a big part of how you promote, especially supplements, you know. And it's great if these guys have their own clients as well, and we're a good brand and the athletes are happy to promote us to their clients, then, you know, it's... Is
there anyone you're watching just now that you're like, I'd really like to work with them?
I mean, obviously there's big people that are probably way too big, not mentioning any names, but like, you know, people that are, you know, sponsored by big brands out there that you would love to. Yeah. I'm sure he would like Rise and Shine.
I'm sure he would, if you try and get it out to him. He's just announced he's back with Gymshark. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Wonder how crazy those deals would be.
Yeah, I'm sure that's big money. But yeah, I mean, like these type of things, I think all the athletes that we've got at the moment, it kind of just happens naturally. They support us without asking to be anything like that, and then there's conversations there and relationships there just get built on the side, and it just kind of falls into place. I think that's the best way to do it.
What's like the setup by athletes then? Are they getting a code, and then do you have to give them money, or is it just supplements? It's like the trade-off deal.
So the agreement that we have with our athletes is they promote a code, and in return they get some free supplements, and there's commission there as well
off the back of it. Yeah. Because My Protein are pushing that heavy. I see, like they're...
What's their setup? Do you know?
So I think there is different tiers. I'd be lying if I say I know the ins and outs. I know a few people who are on it that I've had on the podcast and stuff like that, and what they get paid in that. I'll not say it in the podcast. I'll say it kind of after the podcast, because they're open about it. But it's like percentages, higher percentages, bigger discounts, salary. And per salary is like them having to say X amount of post per following.
Yeah.
And depends on the reach and that sort of thing. It's a very interesting world. I think there's a lot within it.
And I bet you some of these people are making more money than they probably are.
Well, so these are the conversations I've had with the coaches in the space, and it's like I'm torn between being a content creator and now being a coach, because the coaching, I love doing it, time, energy and effort that goes into coaching someone through 8, 12, 16, whatever weeks it is, journey, these, hey, buy this, or here's my product that I'm using, I really like this product, you can get it for code, whatever, brings in the equivalent of, I don't know, like 3, 4, 5 clients in some cases. So it becomes very, I can only imagine like the balance between that. I mean, I even faced it, forget about sponsors and that sort of things. Like I've faced it where the other part of my business had bigger revenue streams coming in, and I had to kind of stop myself and go, right, is that what I really want to do? Yeah. And it's like, no, like my heart's in the coaching side of things, the podcast and the old conversations. And because
I guess if the coaches really love what they do, they might get bored from promoting a product, saying, hi, buy this product all the time. Yeah. And a lot of these guys like to keep switched on and active, and you know, coaching is what allows them to do that.
It's weird because I thought I've always kind of looked at it through the lens of, oh, that'd be cool to do, it'd be cool to run my own business. And this is how I started podcasting. So I was listening to podcasts and I'm like, what sort of questions would I ask? Or I really liked how they positioned that question. Why have they no dive deeper into X, Y, Z? And looking through that lens, it's like, I do the same with the promotion of products. It's like, I'm seeing it on some of my friends' stuff who are sponsored, and it's like, man, that's getting really tiring very quickly, because it's just, it almost seems forced. But I can imagine these are maybe people that are in that salary range, and it's like, oh, don't care. And I don't know how happy these brands would
I also like that. Well, obviously, micro influencers is like a big thing as well, because these are people that don't have huge followings but probably have higher trust indicators. I mean, it's crazy, and actually you might get better results. So like even going back to Donna that we initially used as an influencer,
someone who's not,
she was a hairdresser who was put on furlough, and people just liked watching her content, and so her trust indicators were like through the roof. Because
personality, it's relatability. Like, does it seem real? Does it? I hate using the word authentic. Authentic is like a bit a sleazy word now. It's like, that's not what authentic means. That's not what integrity means. But you can tell who's faking it and who's not.
For sure,
people can read through it. Right, I wrote out a list of things like that. What you do, like an overrated, underrated with.
Okay.
So we'll do like a wee quick fire round, and from running a supplement shop and being in the world of fitness and that, I've kind of kept them close to that. But what I wanted to start with, only because I seen it in your story yesterday, Cocoa Pops, overrated, underrated?
Overrated.
You think Cocoa Pops are overrated? I think Cocoa Pops has to be up there with one of the best cereals ever.
Everybody that seems to like train has Cocoa Pops post workout.
I had it in my prep as well.
And actually, Crunchy Nut for me is the
Is that
best.
where you'd go?
Crunchy Nut.
Insane. It's weird that, I wonder what bodybuilder started it, because it's from that scene for sure. I've done a bodybuilding prep a long time ago now, but the coach I was working with said, right, Cocoa Pops here, and I was like, yes, fucking love Cocoa Pops. So I seen that in your story and I laughed.
The reason why I actually said that yesterday was because I'd run out of Crunchy Nut, and my wee boy had Cocoa Pops. Yeah, so I trained yesterday and I had Cocoa Pops. I was disappointed.
Quite disappointed. Insane. Right, BCA supplements, overrated, underrated?
Overrated.
Yeah. And I'll come back to this actually in a sec. My Protein as a brand.
Overrated.
High Rocks.
Overrated.
You think so? Yeah.
It's a massive thing, obviously, at the moment. It'd be interesting to see if it's still there in a couple of years' time.
What about bodybuilding then?
I think that's overrated as well, to be fair.
You can say properly rated. I should have said at the start as well.
Okay.
Right, cardio. So next one's like, sorry, still on the theme list. So cardio in the morning.
I think that's definitely when you should be doing your cardio.
Aye. No other point of the day.
Because the guys in the shop, Brad in the shop's doing cardio at the moment. So he works all day and then he's going and doing cardio at night. And all he does for the last 2 hours is complain. 2 hours before the shop shutting, I need to go and do my cardio.
Round the day.
Get it done quickly.
What about pre-workout supplements?
Underrated.
Really?
So certain ones for sure. Like for me, taking the strong pre-workouts is not my vibe at all. Mm-hmm. I've tried them. I need to try them because I run a supplement shop. Mm-hmm. But see if you get a pre-workout that is a good daily driver that gives you a good dump of energy, good bit of nootropics in there for focus, it definitely enhances your workout.
Mm. And what about Rise and Shine?
Massively underrated
For sure. No, I like that. So see in terms of like the most popular products that you see sell,
yep.
What are they?
So protein powder is definitely right up there. Like we've worked closely with Perform, which is I think they're like in the top 5 protein powders in the like brands in the UK now for selling protein powder. It's massive. So we've always worked very closely with them. So that they've always been a good seller for us. Creatine is probably the most popular product that we sell in the shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
People coming in for that.
Yeah, because it is at the end of the day, it's the most tested supplement out there that's been proven to work. There's now loads of studies that are coming out to say that it helps with cognitive function and these things. So
I think what am I on? This is like 218. I'm sure episode 3 or 4 that I done, we done on supplements, and at that time I was working with clients over the age of 40. It's over the age of 50, and I was seeing stuff that. Studies and things getting published that the benefit for the older population to take creatine, and what you're seeing, we're always so behind in America, but doctors and that are prescribing creatine to the older population from retention of like your bone, your muscle mass, your bone density, but also the cognitive function. Yeah. So I said that like way back then. It's cool that's came.
I think you'll see. So creatine is always been pushed as it makes you stronger, it makes you recover better. It's always been very like gym fitness focused, and actually I think you'll see a change in it now, being pushed more as a daily
health
supplement. Yeah. And because a lot of people are probably still scared to take it.
It's the whole like, it's just as bad as steroids, and it's like, no.
I know, but that's always
it's like tears.
Yeah.
Tears, yeah.
But yeah, it's super popular, which is good because it's been proven that it works. So if you're going to spend your money on something when you come into a supplement shop, at least, get something that's got studies behind it.
I like it. What else is, from a supplement point of view, the 2 main ones then?
In terms of ones that are selling
well, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Like your daily multivitamins are super popular as well. Pre-workouts, a lot of people are now taking non-stim pre-workouts that don't have any caffeine in them for focus and pump.
Oh, for the focus, or like your and blood flow and stuff like that.
Yeah, so a lot of these products, you don't get a rush of energy, but if you get a good non-stim, you'll get a good bit of focus, concentration, and it'll almost put you in the zone for going to work, and you feel like you're getting that push and that drive from it, but there's no stimulant in it. And then obviously ingredients in there to help with blood flow, to give you a pump. And again, if you get a product that's good, like in your work, your chest or your arms, you really feel it. Good muscle connection.
Is there any supplements that you've been surprised that do so well that you never really thought of when you started?
So hydration is crazy. Yeah. Like that is a thing that probably...
It's like water we have, it was free.
I think it's crazy. And there's products out there that aren't formulated very well, like the amount of electrolytes you should be taking and stuff like that. There's products out there that aren't great, that are still very popular. Electrolytes, I mean, that... I feel like that's kind of been like this. It's like this year's topic.
I believe is generally closely related to more people shifting into
functional
performance stuff. Your high rocks,
your
long runs, and then lifting weights. Even CrossFit to an extent as a part to play. They've always been big advocates of it. Anyway, whatever happens with their controversy with the recent passing like one of their athletes in the middle of an event. Who knows, like, if that will create a space for a new thing. But have you heard of Athex? Yeah. So I'm doing Athex next year. I've done a High Rocks and that sort of things. And when you're there, you're like, right, I understand the buzz about it. So I've made podcast episodes where I've spoke on these mics, man. It's fucking overrated. It's a lot of shite. And I was like, you know what? Let me do one, right? And let's see what it's all about. And I was like, right, okay, I understand.
Do you know what I like about High Rocks is that so the thing with bodybuilding is you can train your ass off, get in great shape, and you stand on that stage, and if someone turns up there that is better than you, you don't win, right? But with High Rocks,
it's also subjective as well.
Very
it's
subjective.
Like, what are we? Are we looking for the biggest on stage, the leanest on stage? That is, and dynamics can change.
Every federation's got different requirements and different things, and who the judges are on the day will have a different opinion and stuff like that. High Rocks, although there is a first, second, and third in a placing, you're up against you and your time, and
very objective.
Yeah, and you know that you're not going to win because there's hundreds of people competing on the day, and that's fine. It's all about beating your time that you did it previously, and although it's a group competition, it's a very much an individual competition, you know. So I think that's good, you know, because
would you do one? You need to.
Yeah,
the best way to get your brand out there.
Get a Pitstop headband and stuff like that.
Pitstop athletes, every single athlete that's in their contract, mandatory High Rocks that you have to do with this.
Potentially. My cardio is would need a lot of work done to it. And I also with my
unloading trolleys of supplements? Just now?
Yeah. Obviously having my accident as well, my leg is still a lot better, but I need to be careful with the type of like running and all that. It's not really something that I can do.
You still on a rehab sort of journey with it, or do you think?
No, but I still, like when I go and train legs in the gym, for example, I need to be very cautious about what exercises I'm doing, the load that I'm putting on my legs and stuff like that. You know, if I do cardio, I won't be doing anything that's like high impact, like running or anything like that. So that might stop me doing something like High Rocks, but I generally would if I could get fit enough. I definitely would.
Yeah, you've said it on a podcast now.
Yeah.
Hold you account.
I would probably do it with someone as a partner. I think it would be good to do it.
Well, the doubles is great. So me and Jill done it, and I think we're going to do another one in maybe 6 weeks. The only reason we're not thinking about doing it is because the flights to the place is like
where is it?
It's in Madrid. So we done it in Madrid in February, and the thing with High Rocks is each event, albeit it's the same, the layout, maybe 100 metres off, maybe 600 metres off, and your timing, the only true comparison can be to the same event that you do. Because some people are taking 10-15 minutes off their time doing it. There was one that they done at an airport, and that one has to have been shorter. I'm not taking it away from people that done it, but looking at the timing splits on the zone of how long it takes you to get from station to out into your run, people are doing it like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and that. Me and Jill never stopped running. So we finished the event and ran out, and we were like combined 7 minutes in that zone. I'm like, how? I was like, we were constantly moving.
So I follow High Rocks because obviously I see it on like Instagram, and I follow loads of people that do it. Would High Rocks ever change the events? Like,
so it's an argument I've kind of brought up. It's like to keep it fresh and that, like it should be something that they consider. But there's another argument that marathons are marathons, and I think High Rocks is probably going to be here to stay for that.
But marathons are in different locations with different hills and different, you know.
True. But so are High Rockses now. So they do their High Rocks Worlds. I don't think they're going to change the event anytime soon. I think they may eventually, but events are selling out. You're having to ballot for your tickets now. So the Manchester one that's coming up, that's now a balloted event, which is crazy. Most people in the UK, I think the UK has some of the best athletes to compete in it. We're all going all over the world just to get the competition.
I guess if it's working, you know, then stick to it. But I guess other competitions will come out. Other like federations or other groups of people will create different things with different events,
and it'll be who stands the toe. So Athex that's why I like the idea of Athex. One, there's more strength component in it, so they change it every year. So last year it was like a overhead press 3 rep max and a 5 rep max deadlift. You've got 15 minutes to get your numbers there. you're on the ergs, ski ergs, stuff like that, and then a Metcon. This year it's 10 rep overhead press max and 5 rep max squat. So they're changing it from year to year, which I like, because it means if it's who's the fittest, who's that. I guess it kind of goes into the CrossFit world.
Yeah, so because we sponsored a couple of CrossFit events a couple of years ago, and the competitors don't know what they're doing until they turn up.
So you kind of need to train everything.
Yeah.
But with Athex, so I know what event I'm going to be doing in March next year.
Right.
So I'm like, right, I'm going to start training to get my overhead press strong and my squat strong.
Yeah.
And it's my old co-host that used to be on the show. We're doing it together, and we're like, I'm going to win this, whether we win it or not, but I'm going with the belief of trying to win this, so I'm going to give it my all for sure.
Yeah.
But one kind of last thing to wrap up on, and it's a wee bit of a jokey one, but if you had to just live off one supplement for the rest of your life, what supplement would you then choose?
So probably it would need to be a protein powder.
With your crunchy nut?
With my crunchy nut, yeah. I like sweet things, so probably something like a cinnamon or like.
Oh, really? Would you go down that route?
Yeah, I'm not so much of don't get me wrong, I love chocolate, but the chocolate flavours and protein is not what I tend to go to. I kind of like the wacky flavours, like Perform do apple strudel, which I think is probably one of the better.
Mental.
Yeah, I do like the chocolate orange, but that's probably the only chocolatey one. What would be your flavour?
So mine has to always vanilla. I'm so plain with it, only because I think my youth of protein powders has ruined me. Like, I would cycle through strawberry, sweet strawberry, raspberry. I'd go through all of them, and I'd drink them that much and make myself sick with them.
Right.
And then it was like, right, that one's done. Move on to the other thing.
It's funny. So Perform as a brand, their most popular flavour is vanilla.
Yes. So I got that cereal milk one from you, and I had it, and I was like, damn, I should have went with vanilla, because already I loved the taste of it, but I knew very quickly, I was like, I'm going to get quite sick of this if I'm going to include this in something that I have every day.
Right.
On the with that same line of thought, if there was you obviously get your whole foods and everything else, is there one supplement you wouldn't do without? What would you choose?
So probably. That's a tricky one. Can I say Rise and Shine?
Of course you can. I thought you would. Thought you'd say that, or your sauces.
Yeah, my sauces. By the way, I'm going to send you a Califit sauce, because it's amazing.
Do you know I tried them in my bodybuilding prep, but I got them. It was my protein were doing at the time, and it just tasted artificial to me. So I don't know if you.
So they are a little bit.
I think it was the barbecue one I had. Right. I don't know. It was sweet chili. The barbecue one was fine. That's what it was.
So the Califit barbecue is phenomenal.
Is it? Right. I'll try it. I'll take your recommendation. Try it.
Yeah.
So Rise and Shine.
Rise and Shine. I mean, like, I love it. Absolutely love it.
I love it. Yeah, I think it's been a really sweet product, and very clever to add that in, and it's not just from a brand or marketing point of view. Like, you've actually brought something to the market that there is a gap for. So that's cool to see. One last thing, sorry, to finish up on is supplements as a whole. Then, so there's always arguments. Do we need them? Do we not? What's your kind of overall take on them? I
would 100% focus on whole foods, have a healthy diet with the type of food you're having, and then add your supplements in when you've got, like, the other thing is starting with if you're using an online coach, or you like sticking to a healthy diet. It's not cheap. So add these things in down the line. But yeah, if budget for me, I always say to people when they come into the shop, so if you've got the budget, these are the things I would recommend. If you don't have the budget, this is what I would recommend. So add these things in accordingly.
So on that, I think that's maybe quite good to communicate that for those who are maybe tighter to budget, what would be the sort of the go-to things to have on backup? So like from a health point of view, creatine, some sort of multivitamin, something that is just a general multivitamin, an omega, and a vitamin D3K2, and they kind of cover the brain health, your organ health, your hair, your skin, your eyes, your joints, your bones. That kind of covers, that covers all the bases. The creatine will help with your cognitive function, your recovery, your strength as well. So they're kind of like the things that I would always recommend. And then there's obviously loads of other things. There's joint ingredient products out there, and there's products that
help with your heart and your organs.
Very scientific.
Very specific products. But it all comes down to budget.
Yeah, and simplicity is sometimes key. Like sometimes in the supplement episodes I've done in the past, it's like before you like throw 100 different ingredients at one thing, like strip everything back and slowly introduce. But the main ones that you said there is ones that sadly in the UK we all need more of. If you don't eat as much fish or meat or whatever, then they're great products to kind of recommend.
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, there's other things like ashwagandha, like anti-cortisol at night. A lot of people probably struggle to switch off.
Have you found much of a need for that? Because that was like the whole TikTok era has sort of brought that, like test boosters and all that. Have you kind of stayed away from that?
No, so we stock a couple ones that are like with test boosters, like natural ingredients. So Tongiali and other ingredients like that are like things, but the research on them, and I do say this to people, the research on them isn't there. And also, if you're new to training and you've never trained really before,
you'll boost your test by lifting weights.
you're going to see a massive increase in your strength at the start, and taking something like a test booster at the same time you're not going to know if it's having any benefit or not, and you need to take these things for months. However, the feedback on it, and people come in the shop and they rebuy it and stuff like that. But yeah, it's probably
you've kind of done it because there's a market and there's a need for it. It's like, well, someone's going to go and get this from somewhere. I'm going to bring them into my shop. You definitely, it's been great having you on. You kind of strike me as someone that does have a lot of like integrity towards like doing the right thing, like being open and honest, and not just. I think that sometimes the intimidation factor of these shops is you're going to go in and you're going to get hard sold to buy this, buy this, buy that, and it's like I want the flexibility of like I'm curious, but I don't want to feel forced. It's like the car salesman type things.
You come into Pitstop, the worst thing that's going to happen to you is you'll get licked by Molly. So.
Which is the dog, by the way, not our staff member.
No, not the staff member.
Well, awesome, mate. Thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And also thank you for this. I'll leave a wee link in the show notes for where everyone can find you, follow you on Instagram, and where they can buy some supplements for you and all that sort of stuff. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.